The last thing you want to do when you see Mike Tyson is to anger that guy, and I'm saying this talking about Iron Mike in 2023. What kind of machine was he when he was young? It was as if he didn't even need his hands to knock people out, he would do it with his trademark grilling. However, there were many occasions when audacious individuals were willing to unleash their long tongues and talk trash to Mike. The truth is, for most of these guys, it ended up being another juicy ending by Tyson.
What's hurt? Tubbs is hurt. Tubbs is hurt badly. It was 10 seconds to go in a round. There's a left hand. He's down again. It's over. It's all over. Down goes Bruno.
Friends, today's video will be dedicated to 5 fights where Mike Tyson punished those who talk trash. Here we go. Number 5, Buster Mathis. Let's start the countdown with someone who is not excessively arrogant. The return of such an important figure to the world of boxing was a real highlight in the media, and everyone, including the champions, wanted to see what his current Iron Mike could do. The promoters were very wise and decided not to immediately throw Mike Rusty under the tanks. First, they gave him a chance to warm up by facing a few guys, one of whom was Buster Mathis Jr. Buster's father fought at the beginning of the golden age of boxing and fought the great Muhammad Ali himself. Now his son carries on the business and so far with quite some success, with a record of 20-0 in the professional ranks. For every action, there is a reaction, so everyone knows how Mike Tyson will act on November 4th, so it depends on me how I will react. Well, you know, I'm very confident, and when I fight Mike Tyson, I know what Mike knows. He comes from the school of his mentor, and my father was trained in the new model. He was trying to be a role model, so I know what Mike Tyson is going to do. Now it's up to me what I'm going to do. He underestimated me, and I love it when people underestimate. And this won't be an 89-second fight like against McNeely on November 4th. I'm not McNeely, I'm Buster Mathis, and I have to face him. Buster promised to be the most uncomfortable opponent in Tyson's career, but Mike just laughed at such claims. However, the show in the ring turned out to be entertaining from the very first second. Buster stuck to Tyson and didn't let him go. It was like a ball stuck against an impenetrable rock, and from the outside, it seemed ridiculous, but it was very effective. Mike couldn't unleash the full range of his punches and missed a lot, while Buster bombarded his body. The prospect won 2 rounds, was doing well in the 3rd round but hesitated for a brief moment and received Tyson's trademark combination on the jaw, spinning around.
Swing around on your opponent's side and then crack. Oh, he got a right uppercut. Another right uppercut. And down goes Mathis.
Number 4, Tony Tubbs. In 1988, Mike Tyson was at his peak and performing his famous total defenses. He had recently defeated 2 of the toughest undefeated boxers and then had a tremendous fight with Larry Holmes, but we'll talk about that later. Hearst's trucks didn't have time to carry away the bodies after Tyson's fights, but the number of contenders didn't decrease. New charged-up guys kept appearing. Tony Tubbs was one of them. TNT began his boxing career as an amateur, where he excelled with a gold medal at the World Cup. In the professional ranks, Tony's record at the time he faced Tyson was 24-1, and there were plenty of stoppages. Only a few of Tubbs' opponents, like the famous Greg Page, managed to go the distance. The rest had to face brutal and relentless knockouts. Obviously, these knockouts made. I am strong and unfair. Mike Tyson will have to deal with that. They will basically say, wow, look at that guy when I enter the ring.
Y lo que sucede es que una vez que comience a poner mis movimientos contra Mike Tyson, voy a cambiar, ¿sabes? Este combate puede que no sea tan difícil como piensan porque Mike Tyson solo es bueno para golpearte, ya sabes. En este momento soy uno de los mejores pesos pesados del mundo. Puedo boxear mejor que cualquiera de ellos y no me quedo atrás. Ni siquiera...
Tony looked very prepared, successfully combining his work both at long distance and in a phone booth, where he was landing hard uppercuts on Tyson. Mike missed a few times, but he took his time and worked at his own pace. As in every fight, Iron Mike knew he would have that unique punch that would knock out his opponent, and that punch came in the 2nd round. Tubbs was dominating the champion in the exchanges, but then the treacherous ropes got in his way and that was it.
Tubbs is hurt. Tubbs is hurt badly. It was, well, that's what a great puncher can do. The boxer is thinking all the time and the puncher is punching all the time.
Mike exploded with a left hook and immediately shook Tony without losing his momentum. Tyson kept piling on punches, and it was his 3rd hook that proved to be decisive. After that punch, doctors had to pull Tony out of the grave right away. Number 3, Tyrell Biggs. The majority of athletes agree that the highest achievement of all is an Olympic medal. Not only is it hard to reach, but it's almost impossible. But those who achieve it receive incredible respect and prestige in the world of sports. It's true, there's a small problem. The admiring looks of others and $1 million for an Olympic medal unfortunately don't come with it. Former Olympic champions have to come up with something and change the course of their careers. Some have to stop competing and dedicate themselves to coaching, but boxers are lucky in this aspect. They can simply switch to the professional ranks. That's exactly what Tyrell Biggs, the first Olympic gold medalist in heavyweight boxing for the United States, did at the 1984 Olympic Games. He confidently defeated all his opponents, including a young Lennox Lewis, and took first place. Immediately after, he transitioned to the professional sport. In 3 years, he easily faced 15 opponents and secured a title fight with the biggest threat in the heavyweight division, Mike Tyson, whom he didn't really consider a serious rival. I believe that with everything I've been through and how good I am, I know how good I am, and for me, having been criticized and all that, I owe it to myself. We have to go out there and be like Michael Tyson, like I'm his son. I owe it to myself to go out there and beat this for us and be called the new one. I need to be the heavyweight world champion. What do you think of the statement from a guy with 15 professional fights? Well, Tyrell was confident, and maybe on his best day, he could have beaten the worst version of Tyson, but certainly not that night. Biggs started with a poor imitation of Ali's style, but he floated too slowly because Mike, being 2 heads shorter, reached him and exploded. Iron Mike looked phenomenally fast and focused, especially with his left hook, which he used in the clinch for several consecutive rounds. It turned out that Tyrell only had a plan A, and when the jab and the puncher stopped working, he started retreating as he saw his opponent mentally break. Mike added even more pressure and closed in on him with an expression of "Oh yeah, boy, you're mine." Under the relentless pressure of the champion and an abundance of hooks and body shots.
He is gone right now. He has no legs. And 10 seconds to go in a round. There's a left hand. He's down again. It's over. It's all over.
The fight between Mike Tyson and Frank Bruno was one of the best confrontations of the transition from the 80s to the 90s. If we consider the knockout power of both fighters, this fight could be considered the most explosive in history. We all know Tyson's great talents for knocking people out, so let's focus on Bruno. Before facing Iron Mike, Frank's record was nothing less than 32-2, and only one of those victories came by decision, similar to Deontay Wilder, right? In fact, in that distant era, Bruno was probably considered the hardest hitting fighter of all, even more powerful than Mike if we only look at pure physical strength. But even monstrous power didn't help Frank win the first fight, which he lost by TKO in the 5th round. After that, the boxers took separate paths, but fate brought them back together in 1996 when Iron Mike was at his best after being released from prison, and Bruno held the WBC belt. I don't see myself spectacularly knocking out Mike Tyson. There's no way he would just come straight at me all the time. It would be like crashing into a wall constantly. That was in the past, this is now, and I am the WBC champion. He will try to take it away from me, but he will only be able to see it because his time has passed. I feel much stronger mentally and physically, and this is my moment. Tyson had his time, and if Cus D'Amato were here, he would be rolling in his grave seeing him with those fans and those terrible people behind him. He must be lacking confidence in something, but I want to knock him out so hard that he falls into Duncan King's lap and erase him from the map because he is bad for boxing, and those people are bad for boxing. From the first round, it was evident that Tyson, after his years of inactivity, was in much better physical condition than Frank Bruno, who had become very slow, and his speed had decreased dramatically. In a fight against a killer like Tyson, this proved fatal. The champion couldn't dodge the powerful punches that Mike threw at him, and his only response was to try to protect himself and keep his distance between the first and second round. Bruno already had an open wound on his face, and it was evident that he was struggling a lot. However, the old warrior kept pushing forward. Unfortunately, Tyson is not known for being merciful to his opponents. In the 3rd round, he brought the champion down under the thunderous roar of the crowd, hitting him with hooks and leaving his head hanging.
This is what Bruno expected. He said he's not looking for the Tyson who fought McGillian Mathis. There's a combination uppercut by Tyson. Tyson laying it on, pouring it on. Down goes Bruno into the ropes.
Number 1, Larry Holmes. Throughout his life, Tyson had established himself as a gangster who feared no one and never considered any boxer even close to him. Mike's creed applied to everyone, except his greatest idol, Muhammad Ali. The greatest was an idol for Tyson, someone to aspire to, and whose achievements were absolute. Tyson repeatedly said that Ali was an example for him. So when they offered Iron Mike a fight against Larry Holmes, he simply couldn't refuse it. It became personal for him. Larry became one of the last opponents Ali stepped into the ring with, and then Holmes left no living place in the legend of the past. After that, the Easton Assassin became the best heavyweight for many years, but time spares no one. By 1988, Larry started to slowly decline, and in these last two fights, he lost to the young Michael Spinks. The fight against the combative Tyson was an opportunity for Holmes to rehabilitate himself and quickly regain his star status. I am ready to step in there with Mike in January, any day they want, and I hope it's on HBO because I want the world to see it. And from this fight, I hope there's something called justice. Last time, I didn't get it, and I complained, the world saw it. Now I hope that once they see it again, there's justice. I'm going to knock this guy out. I've seen Tyson make a lot of mistakes, and if he fights dirty, that's what he's going to get all night because I didn't see a classic fight, I didn't see a classy guy in the ring tonight. I saw a guy throwing elbows, I saw a guy headbutting, I saw a guy hitting after the bell. I saw all this in my guy, I didn't see a gentleman in there. If they want to make him look like a champion, he will face a true champion. Think about it, after this fight, people will say, Larry Holmes, why don't they mention him anymore? Because I know what I'm doing. Larry tried to start the fight his way, with a lot of movement and dangerous jabs, but he found the wrong person. Mike Tyson, compact, powerful, and very focused, was on him and didn't give him any respite. While Holmes tried to reach him and play hide and seek, Iron Mike shot at him, but the Easton Assassins inside fighting gradually stopped him.
That round after round. Oh, a big right hand, and down goes the former champion. Now right in the button. The count is up to 6, 7, and 8.
The former champion was getting the distance he needed for his jabs, and everything seemed to be going well, but we all know that Tyson only needed one opportunity, and it came. And then the hardest double jab of his life hit him on the head. Mike's revenge against Ali was concentrated in that blow, and Larry got up after the knockdown and said, "Should I have ever fought the greatest?" Tyson didn't stop there and got another knockdown.
Oh no, stop the fight! Down he goes! Larry's hand ends the career of the fourth. Mike Tyson proved to the world that he's